This is so yummy.
I can't believe you did that for me. You don't have to keep doing this. Does that mean I was foolish to trust them? You deserve it. I don't hate you.
Joy and Kemi grew up together in Lagos, sharing everything: food, dreams, tears, and secrets. When Joy's father died, she cried until she had no more tears. But every night, Kemi slept beside her on the same thin mattress, holding her hand in the dark. No words, just presence. When Kemi's university fees were due and her mother had nothing, Joy sold her only gold earrings, the ones her grandmother gave her, without even telling Kemi until it was done. "You would have said no," Joy smiled. Kemi cried right there in the school compound. Years passed, life moved, and Joy built a fashion business from a small table in her bedroom. She stayed awake sewing until her fingers hurt. She negotiated with suppliers. She drove through Lagos traffic to deliver orders herself. Slowly, her business grew into something beautiful. She married Tunde, calm, neat, and responsible, and they moved into a duplex in Lekki with a garden and a painted gate. Kemi visited every Sunday. She brought jollof rice and loud laughter, and the house felt alive when she was there. But then, Kemi lost her job. The company shut down without warning. No savings, no plan, just silence and a mountain rent bill. Joy didn't wait to be asked. She paid 3 months of Kemi's rent. She took her grocery shopping every weekend. She created a job position inside her company just for Kemi, brand assistant, so her friend would have income and dignity. "You don't have to keep doing this," Kemi told her. "I know. That's exactly why I do it." On Kemi's birthday, Joy reserved a table at one of the nicest restaurants in Victoria Island. The whole group was there: friends, colleagues, cousins. After the cake was cut, Joy stood up and tapped her glass. "Kemi has been my sister for over 15 years. Not my sister by blood, something stronger than that." She nodded at the door. Outside the restaurant, surrounded by purple and gold balloons, sat a brand new car with a red ribbon tied across the windscreen. The room went completely silent. Then someone screamed. Then everyone screamed. Kemi pressed her hands to her face and shook. She couldn't speak. She couldn't move. Joy walked to her and held her. "You deserve it. You have always deserved it." Kemi sobbed into her shoulder. Phones came out. People clapped. A few guests wiped their eyes. But across the restaurant, standing slightly apart from the crowd, was Tunde. He watched the two women embrace. His face was unreadable. He clapped with everyone else, but his eyes held something still, something quiet and heavy that no one in that room noticed. No one except the camera. Joy was not a suspicious woman. She had built her life on trust. Her business ran on handshakes and follow-through. Her marriage was built on the belief that Tunde was exactly who he showed himself to be: steady, quiet, and safe. So, when the small, strange moments started, she pushed them aside. The first time was a Tuesday evening. She called Kemi on her way home from a meeting. The phone rang twice, then went quiet. Not the usual sound of a call being declined, but the quick, panicked cut of someone ending a call in a hurry. Joy redialed. "Sorry, I was in the bathroom," Kemi said, laughing a little too quickly. Joy believed her. The second time was on Sunday lunch. Joy mentioned that Tunde had fixed the kitchen tap himself instead of calling the plumber. Kemi changed the subject so fast that it took Joy a moment to realize the conversation had moved. "Did you see the new fabric market opened in Yaba?" Kemi asked. Joy said yes and let it go. The third time was harder to ignore. She came home from work and found Tunde in the living room, phone face down on the cushion beside him. When she entered, he stood up faster than necessary. He smiled too wide. He asked about her day before she even put her bag down. Tunde never asked about her day first. Joy looked at him. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Me? Yes, just tired," he said. She nodded and went to the kitchen. That night, she lay awake staring at the ceiling while Tunde slept beside her. She listened to his breathing, even and slow, calm. She told herself she was foolish. She had a good husband, a best friend, a growing business. What more did she need to worry about? The next morning, she called her mother. "Mommy, have you ever felt like something was wrong but you couldn't explain what it was?" Her mother was quiet for a moment. "Many times," she said. "What does your stomach say?" Joy admitted, "My stomach says something is not right, but my head says I'm imagining things." "Joy," her mother said carefully, "listen to your stomach. Your head can be fooled. Your stomach cannot." Joy thanked her and hung up. She stood by the window and watched Lagos move outside. The Danfo buses, the hawkers, the school children, and she made herself a promise. She would pay attention. She would not accuse anyone, she would not cause trouble, but she would pay attention. She did not know that even as she stood there making that promise, her phone had a missed call from Kemi, a call Kemi never explained, and she did not know what Tunde was doing before she walked in. The conference was in Abuja. Joy had packed her bag the night before, 2 blazers, a notebook, her business cards. She was speaking on a panel about women in Nigerian fashion. She had prepared for weeks. She arrived at the airport at 6 in the morning. By 9, the announcement came. Severe weather. All flights to Abuja suspended until further notice. Joy sat in the departure hall for an hour, waiting, then 2 hours. Then the airline confirmed no flights until the next morning. She picked up her bag and went home. She did not call Tunde. She did not call Kemi. She was tired. Her head hurt and she just wanted to lie down. The road home took 40 minutes in light traffic. She thought about the panel she was missing. She thought about the business. She thought about small things like whether she had switched off the kitchen light or whether the dry cleaner had finished her dress. She did not think about what she might find at home. The street was quiet. The gate was locked from inside, which was normal. She parked and let herself in with her key. The living room was empty. The television was off. She climbed the stairs slowly, pulling her small bag behind her. The house felt still, in the way houses feel still when people think no one is coming. Then she heard it. Laughter. Coming from behind the bedroom door. Low. Familiar. Joy stopped on the staircase. Her hand rested on the railing. Her heart did something she had no name for. Not quite beating, not quite stopping. She recognized that laughter. She had heard it for 15 years, at birthday parties, at the market, at midnight on the phone when they were both too tired to sleep. She knew that voice. She stood there on the stairs for 5 seconds or 5 years, she could not tell. Then she walked forward. She pushed open the bedroom door. What she saw will take the rest of her life to forget. Her husband, her best friend, together, in her room, on her bed. For a single moment, the 3 of them existed in complete silence. Then Kemi screamed. Tunde jumped up, knocking something off the nightstand. Joy did not scream. She did not cry. She did not shout. She just stood there in her own bedroom, in her own house, holding her own bag, and she looked at them both. One face full of shame, one unable to meet her eyes. She turned around. She walked back down the stairs. She walked out of the gate. She got into her car. She drove. She did not know where she was going. She just drove through Lagos traffic, past the markets, past the buses, past families walking home, until she found herself parked by the lagoon, and only then did she let herself breathe. She stayed in the car by the lagoon until the sun went down. She watched the water, she watched the sky change color. She watched other people's lives. A man selling suya on the roadside, children chasing each other along the fence, a couple holding hands near the railing. She felt like she was watching them from very far away. Her phone rang 14 times. Tunde, Tunde, Kemi, Tunde. A number she didn't recognize. Kemi again. She did not answer. At some point, she drove to a small hotel not far from the island. She paid for one night with her debit card, took her bag upstairs, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall. Then she cried. She cried the way a person cries when they have been holding it in the car, in the lobby, in the elevator, and can finally let it go behind a closed door. She cried for her marriage. She cried for her friendship. She cried for all the Sundays Kemi had sat in that same house, eating her food, laughing with her husband, looking her in the eye. She cried for the car she had given, the rent she had paid, the job she had created, the earrings she had sold when they were young. She cried until her chest hurt. And then, around 3 in the morning, something shifted. She wasn't sure what it was. Not anger, not peace. Something quieter than both. She got up and washed her face. She sat at the small hotel desk and opened her notebook, the one she had packed for the conference. She wrote one question at the top of the page. What do I do now? She sat with that question for a long time. She had every right to go back home and break everything. She had every right to call their families. She had every right to be as loud and as broken as she felt. But something inside her said that the loudest response was not always the strongest one. She thought about her grandmother. She hadn't spoken to her in a few months. Her grandmother was old now, living in the village, but her mind was clear. She had lived through things Joy could not imagine. Loss, betrayal, poverty, and still, she moved through life with a quiet dignity that Joy had always admired. Joy needed that right now. She needed someone old enough to have survived this kind of pain. She picked up her phone. She did not call Tunde. She did not call Kemi. She booked a bus ticket to the village for the following morning. Then she lay down, still in her clothes, and closed her eyes. She did not sleep well, but when the sun came up, she was ready. The village was 3 hours from Lagos. The bus was old and the road was rough, but Joy sat by the window and watched the city disappear behind her. The traffic, the billboards, the noise, all of it slowly gave way to red earth and tall grasses and sky she had forgotten was that wide. Her grandmother's house was small and painted yellow, with a mango tree in the front that had been there longer than anyone could remember. When Joy walked through the gate, her grandmother was sitting outside on a low wooden stool, shelling beans into a metal bowl. She looked up. She did not ask why Joy had come without calling. She did not express surprise at the swollen eyes or the overnight bag carried in the middle of a weekday. She simply said, "Come and sit." Joy sat on the ground beside her and put her head in her grandmother's lap. The old woman ran her hand slowly over Joy's hair. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The village sounds moved around them. A rooster somewhere, children playing behind a fence, the breeze through the mango leaves. Then Joy told her everything. She spoke quietly, without rushing. She told her about the birthday car, about the small signs she had noticed, about the Thursday, the stairs, the bedroom door. Her grandmother listened without interrupting. When Joy finished, there was a long silence. Then her grandmother spoke. "My child," she said, still shelling beans slowly. A snake does not become a goat because you feed it milk. The snake remains a snake, and when the chance comes, it will still bite you, not because you did something wrong, but because that is its character. Joy stared at the bowl of beans. "Does that mean I was foolish to trust them?" she asked. "No," her grandmother said. "Kindness is never foolishness, but wisdom must walk beside it. You gave generously. That is good. What you must now learn is that not every person who eats at your table deserves a seat in your inner circle." Joy looked up at her. "What should I do?" Her grandmother finally stopped shelling and looked at her directly. "Do not waste your pain on revenge. Revenge is a fire you light in someone else's house and burn yourself trying to carry it there." She paused. "Go back. Handle your life cleanly. Your business, your home, your name. Protect what is yours. And then build." Joy was quiet. "Will it hurt for a long time?" Her grandmother smiled gently. "Yes," she said honestly, "but pain that teaches you something is not wasted pain." Joy stayed in the village for 2 days. She slept, she ate real food, she sat under the mango tree and thought. And on the 3rd morning, she got on the bus back to Lagos, not broken and not defame. Lagos welcomed her back to noise and traffic and the smell of rain on hot tar. Joy drove home, changed her locks that same afternoon and called her lawyer. She was calm. People around her kept expecting anger, shouting, drama, confrontation. But Joy moved through the process the way someone moves through important work, deliberately, quietly, and without wasting energy. She filed for divorce. When Tunde came to the house to collect his things, she let him. She sat in the living room and answered work emails while he moved boxes. He tried to speak to her 3 times. She answered him once. "I don't hate you. I just have nothing to say to you." He left. She called the HR manager at her company the next morning and removed Kemi from the staff list. She transferred her final salary, added a small bonus, and asked that the letter be sent professionally. No drama, no explanation required. Some people expected her to fall apart. She didn't. She was not pretending to be fine. She was, in fact, hurting in a way that sometimes made it hard to eat. There were evenings when she sat at the dining table alone and the silence pressed against her like something physical. But she had made a decision. She was not going to let this be the thing that ended her. She poured herself into work. She hired 2 new designers and expanded her product line into bridal wear. She negotiated a supply contract with a boutique chain in Accra, Ghana, her first international deal. She flew to London for a small fashion showcase and came back with 3 new wholesale buyers. Her business, which had always been doing well, began to do something else. It began to fly. Her phone filled with orders. Her Instagram grew. Her name started appearing in style magazines and business features. People who knew what had happened watched in confusion. They had expected her to crumble. She was growing. And in quiet moments, late at night, alone in the duplex she now had entirely to herself, she understood something her grandmother had not directly said but meant. Pain can either bury you or push you. The direction depends on what you decide to do with it. Joy had decided. She was not going to carry the weight of what Tunde and Kemi had done. She was going to put it down and walk forward. Not because she wasn't hurt. She was, deeply. But she refused to let her lowest moment become her last story. She repainted the bedroom. She bought new furniture. She rearranged everything. And slowly, the house that had felt like a place of shame began to feel again like home. Meanwhile, in another part of Lagos, things were not going nearly as well for 2 other people. People who do wrong things often believe the worst consequence will come from outside. From the person they wronged, from family members who find out, from neighbors who talk. But the heaviest punishment is usually quieter than that. Tunde had assumed at some level that his life would continue normally. He was an accountant, he had a career. He had managed to keep his private life and his professional life in separate compartments for a long time. But compartments have a way of collapsing. An investigation at his firm, unrelated or so it seemed, pulled up several months of financial records. What started as a routine internal audit uncovered a pattern of small, carefully adjusted numbers. Nothing dramatic, just small dishonest decisions repeated over time. He was let go, quietly, with a non-disclosure agreement and no public statement. But Lagos is a city where people talk, and word moved through the professional circles the way it always does. Doors began to close. He applied for 3 positions at other firms, got first interviews, then nothing. The industry was not large enough for a man's reputation to stay private for long. Kemi, meanwhile, had believed that Tunde and Kemi had something real. She had told herself a story that Joy was not fully present in the marriage, that Tunde was unhappy, and that what they had found together was not betrayal, but something that had simply happened. People who betray sometimes need a story like that. But the truth arrived without drama. Tunde was, it turned out, a man who made convenient choices. He had chosen comfort when Joy offered it. He had chosen distraction when Kemi offered it. And now that both were gone, he made new choices, ones that did not include Kemi. The relationship between them dissolved within months. They argued about things neither of them could name clearly. Small annoyances that were really about guilt. Silences that were really about shame. And underneath everything, a distrust that made sense. Because if you know a person betrayed someone who loved them, some part of you knows they could do the same to you. They did not end loudly. They simply stopped. Kemi found herself alone in a way she had never experienced before. Not the ordinary aloneness of being single, the specific aloneness of having made choices you cannot undo. She missed Joy. Not the car, not the job, not the rent payments. She missed the person who sold her earrings to keep her in school, the person who slept beside her during every hard thing. She had traded all of that for something that lasted less than a year. In the evenings, she sat in her room and thought about what real friendship looks like, and how rarely it comes, and how easily it can be destroyed. She was beginning, slowly and painfully, to understand. 3 years passed. Joy's company now operated in 3 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, and the United Kingdom. She had a small team, an office in Lekki, and a name that people in the fashion industry recognized. She had also, carefully and slowly, learned how to trust people again. Not blindly, not with the open-armed generosity of her younger self, but with the measured warmth of someone who had been hurt and chosen to remain kind anyway. She had a small group of real friends now, fewer than before, but deeper. She was at a charity event for young women entrepreneurs on a Saturday afternoon when she saw Kemi. Kemi was thinner. She looked tired in the way that has nothing to do with sleep. Their eyes met from across the room. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then, Kemi walked toward her slowly, the way a person walks when they are not sure they will be welcomed. She stopped a little distance away. "Joy," she said. "Kemi," Joy replied. There was a long silence between them, full of everything that 3 years and 1 bedroom contained. Kemi's eyes filled. "I have wanted to say this for a long time," she said. "I'm sorry. There is no explanation I can give you that makes it okay. I'm sorry. I wish I could take it back. Joy looked at her. She saw the exhaustion. She saw the genuine regret. She saw the girl who once sat beside her in a school compound and cried tears of gratitude over a pair of earrings. She did not feel anger. She felt something older than anger. I forgave you a long time ago, Joy said quietly. Kemi's face shifted. You did? Yes, Joy said. Not for your sake, for mine. Carrying that kind of pain is too heavy. I put it down. Kemi wiped her eyes. Can we? She started. Joy held up her hand gently, not harshly, just clearly. She said, forgiveness does not rebuild trust. Those are two different things. I forgave you, but the friendship we had, that was built over 15 years, and it was destroyed in much less time than that. She paused. Some things, once broken, don't go back together the same way. Kemi nodded slowly. She understood. Not the understanding that comes from someone explaining it, the understanding that comes from living it. They stood there for one more moment, two women who once meant everything to each other, now standing in the quiet space of what remains after a great loss. Take care of yourself, Joy said. You too, Kemi replied. And Joy walked back into the event, back to her work, her goals, her future, carrying nothing she did not choose to carry. The lesson was simple. Be kind, be generous, love people fully, but know who you are letting close, because not everyone who sits at your table belongs in your life. And wisdom, more than anything, is knowing the difference.
Joy forgave her, but walked away forever. And honestly, that took more strength than any revenge could. But let me ask you something. If your best friend did this to you, could you ever truly forgive them? Drop your answer in the comment section right now. If this story is different, smash the like button. If you already know why, and come back tomorrow, because the next story makes this one look calm.